Hi guys, I'm Daniel, and today I wanted to kind of talk about kindness is strength. We have a little bit of a different backdrop today. I'm not stuck in my car. I decided to go on a hike, and it's a little chilly, so hopefully the wind isn't too bad on the audio. But um, really, I wanted to talk about this today because a couple days ago I had a moment where I was kind of hit with like almost karmic punishment is the best way to put it. Where I work, it's a pretty easy job. I can't really speak my mind much, and sometimes working with the people that I work with is a little harder, just because they lean a different way than me politically. They're a little conspiracy minded, um, and I could always get a different job and everything because sometimes it is pretty annoying and pretty frustrating to have to deal with. But the fact that it lets me kind of travel, it lets me kind of do the things I want to do right now. I kind of swallow that kind of pride and frustration and just kind of let it linger. And with some of my coworkers, it kind of definitely builds up a little bit more than with others. And so, um, with one of them specifically, he's kind of pretty in your face. He's pretty like brutally honest. I kind of am in opposition of that. I feel like you have to kind of be kind to people. You have to sometimes not really be blunt with them. Like sometimes it's needed, but sometimes there's definitely a better way to kind of word things for people. And so like last year, I was cutting down trees for the first time, and I kind of messed up, and he basically called me stupid. And instead of getting like really frustrated and angry like I started to get, I kind of started coping by like just kind of saying that his words didn't matter, which is a good thing because they don't really. Like if somebody calls you stupid, like that's just an insult that shouldn't really get to you. But I kind of let it come in the form of like his words don't matter because of all these different mean thoughts that I had about him that kind of picked at some of his insecurities. And I kind of would let that kind of fester and kind of linger for the last year, and that's not really a good thing. I let those frustrations and everything out, and I was talking to my family about it, and they all thought it was pretty mean spirited where I was coming from, even if he is sometimes kind of hard to deal with. And so on like Thursday, I want to say, those frustrations kind of were almost like quenched a little bit. I felt really horrible. I was in this situation where we were gonna work together for the day, and he got a call, and it was like a family emergency, and then I had to be there as he had like this really almost intimate moment where I feel like I shouldn't have been there, but just because of work and everything, I wound up kind of getting stuck in it. And the whole time I'm just thinking like, oh my god, this is just a karmic lesson. Like I've just been kind of reprimanded by my family that this isn't really like a way I should be thinking about this, and that I was being really unnecessarily mean, and it kind of just manifested in the worst way possible, and the fact that I had to just deal with this like really intimate moment for him. And it kind of got me thinking about just like the last couple of years I'd have been kind of just focused on the hope core grind, kind of making myself better as a person and kind of growing and maturing. And I had kind of grown complacent, because I feel like it's like the gym. You can't just kind of work out for a couple months and then once you're in shape, kind of say like, "Oh, I'm good." It's like something you have to constantly work at. Um, and I had kind of done the work, gotten to a point where I felt pretty decent, and then decided that that was enough for me, and I didn't really need to do any more work, which isn't really fair, um, because it's kind of been affecting me negatively, I want to say. Um, I kind of felt really shitty about that, and I was kind of thinking about that whole day, and kind of just being down on myself as I tend to do. And I went to the store to buy some stuff, and as I was loading some materials into the truck, somebody kind of pulled up to me, and I was kind of wearing this fit basically because it's been kind of cold out. And even though I have like a hat, like a hood on, and everything like that, this guy pulled up to me in a truck and recognized me. And at first, I didn't know who it was. I hadn't seen this person since like 2017 when I was a freshman in high school. And then it clicked in my mind. I was like, oh, it's this kid that I had helped translate for in his math class because he had moved here from like Central America. And I was skipping my class to go help translate for him. And for me, it was something that I'd completely like forgotten about. But for him, it like probably meant enough to where he could just recognize me like that even after all these years. And he was telling his buddy about how I had helped him, and we kind of caught up real quick, and it was really nice. And I kind of realized that like something obvious, because I knew this before, but I guess I had lost sight of it. But really, like, all our actions and words really mean a lot to other people and really have all these consequences that you don't really think about, and they really resonate, even if it's not something you have in mind. And so in regards to my coworker, like, I'd kind of let frustrations and their actions and negativity kind of drain on me and make me kind of a worse person in turn. And that's just kind of weakness, honestly. Like, I think the strongest thing you can do is just be kind to other people. Be kind in the face of somebody being a douchebag to you and just kind of being aggressive or mean or just hating on you for no reason. I know, like, online it's kind of funny to talk about like just being a hater and you're in your hater era, you're in your villain arc and all that stuff, but that always comes at the cost of somebody else's emotions and somebody else's life. A couple examples that I have of like that, like small actions kind of rippling out, I guess, is like that math example. Something more personal would be like when I was little, I had this friend that I've known my whole life, and we grew up in Colombia together. I was friends with her cousins. She moved there, and then we started hanging out a lot more, and we were really close. And when I moved to Alaska, she was one of like the few friends that I really kept in touch with for a while. We used to play Club Penguin together and Skype and everything. We were like 8 when I first moved here. And we had kind of grown apart. She lives like in New Zealand, and I obviously live in Alaska. And so we had kind of stopped talking to each other. And it had been years since the last time I talked to her. And as I grew older, I had kind of started being a little hard on myself, being harsh, just kind of not really being a friend to myself. And I had grown this idea of me as somebody that isn't really nice or kind for whatever reason, that I just carried all this guilt and shame, like I talked about last video. And she reached out to me at one point a couple of years ago, like in 2021 or something. We were kind of catching up, talking about what we were doing in life, being a little bit nostalgic about like when we were kids and all that. And she kind of pointed out that like I've always kind of been soft, because I'd been talking about how I was kind of like a dick to her, because it was just little kids kind of messing around, right? Like little boys kind of make fun of girls, and she's a little bit older. And so it was like 3 guys, like between my friend, who's her cousin, my brother and I, and her other cousin who's a girl, and her, just kind of making fun of them, like teasing them a little bit, as kids tend to do. So I was kind of just apologizing for that, just kind of in my head, the making fun of her and everything. And she told me that like I had always been soft and I wasn't ever really a dick to her, and that was like the most like brain altering thing that anybody had ever said to me, because in my head, like, I was just a dick to people and I was mean, even though I never really was. I've always been really reserved and respectful, and everybody now kind of just tells me that they have like this really good impression of me, but I had this other image of me for whatever reason. And actually somebody I haven't talked to in a while reached out to me yesterday, or not yesterday, but whenever I released that video. They watched the video, and I wasn't really expecting them to, and I really appreciate that, honestly. And they kind of told me their thoughts on like the whole like feeling shame and carrying that shame with you. And she said that like shame is just kind of you not having really self-respect, really. And I guess that I like that idea a lot, because in my head, like with that example, like I had just carried all this shame and guilt, and it was because I just didn't respect myself enough to think that I was a good person for whatever reason. And so ever since then, I've just kind of seen myself differently. I started doing like the whole, like, I'm a silly guy, I'm a joyous and whimsical guy. And it all partially stems back to just this like side comment that this lifelong friend had kind of told me while we were catching up. And like, I think that happens often, even with like little interactions with different people. Like my senior year of high school, I was at a tournament and somebody said something about like how nice my hair looks, and it was like a security guard. She wasn't flirting with me because she was like a little older and I was like 17 or something, but she just told me that like my hair looks cool, and I was like, you know what, my hair does look cool, hell yeah. And I think about that all the time, and I think as guys, like, we get like one compliment a year and that's all we think about for the rest of our lives. So that's definitely my compliment of the year that I sometimes think about. But like our actions just have consequences, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like everything we do, everything we say to other people, it all ripples out. Like we can't think of ourselves as the main characters of our lives, in the sense that we all have our own stories. We're all our own main characters, and we can't trample over each other. I know that's a big thing online, to say that like I am the main character, I want to romanticize my life, everybody else is an NPC. But I don't really like that mindset that much without kind of thinking about it a little bit more, because a lot of people take it to the extreme. They're like, I am going to be loud, I'm going to be the center of attention, I'm going to do whatever I want, I don't give a shit about what other people think. I don't really care if I'm disturbing other people, because it's my life, I'm doing what I want. And I think there is some truth to just doing the things you want to do, but it can't come at the cost of other people. I think I want to start just telling people like, oh, that's a cool shirt, oh, have a nice day, as people are walking by, like giving them compliments. A few people have done that for me. Somebody told me I look like Aladdin, which I thought was kind of funny, just racially profiled, but you know what, the intention was good. Somebody else told me I look like Rocky, I guess, which also just kind of good intention. But just kind of telling other people that like they look cool, or they have nice shoes, or whatever it is, like it'll make somebody's day. The other part in the whole like kindness is strength thing is like, I think a lot of times people take people's words too seriously, or especially guys, they're scared of their ego kind of breaking. So I know some people that have worked on this, and they're not really like this anymore, but like if they'd be at the bars and somebody looks at them funny, or somebody bumps into them, and instead of kind of just laughing it off and being like, oh, it's just an accident, or, you know, like, I don't know, it's just a random, who cares? They get all pissy, and they're like, they have to do the whole, like, get in their face and try to just cause a scene, I guess, which is just kind of silly. It doesn't really matter. I've always been of that mind, like, people will say stuff to me, and I'll just laugh it off, because, like, for the most part, it doesn't matter. But I think this recent incident just kind of made me realize that I want to recommit to being kind, keep putting in the work. This all came about because I'm just on that like hope core, like you have no enemies TikTok algorithm kind of thing. And I think that's really true. Like nobody has any enemies. That quote comes from Vinland Saga. It's a manga/anime. I've only seen the anime, I haven't really read the manga. But basically, it takes a lot more strength to forgive somebody. Like, I've learned the most from the people that have hurt me the most, I think. One of my greatest role models is just my grandpa. He was just an incredible person. He got knighted. He was in Colombia, like the equivalent of a knighthood in Colombia. I don't know. That means a lot, I guess, but that's just really cool just because he helped so many people. Um, he was a lawyer, and like I didn't really appreciate it as much when I was little because I didn't really get it. He passed away when I was like 12, but when he passed away, like all these people just came out of the woodwork and were really thankful for what he had done for them. He would work for people and just like not receive payment. He worked for a lot of like farmers and just really poor people that didn't really have like monetary payment, and they would sometimes just give him like chickens, like, and it's kind of funny as an American to think about somebody giving a chicken away, but like that just is such a like grand form of gratitude that like I don't have much, I live off the fruits of my labor, but here's a chicken that we could probably make some money off of, but we'll just give it to you for helping us out because we are so thankful for everything you've done for us. And so like when he died, there was so many people that came out of the woodwork just telling us all these stories about how great he was and how kind he was, and obviously we knew it, but like especially for me, since I was little, I didn't really get the full extent of it until after he passed away. And so I try to live up to that. Like I think we are just a communal society. We do have to live with each other. We can't just live in isolation. And I think I want my kindness to ripple down through to other generations. I don't really want to be known as like somebody that is really mean-spirited and does kind of hate people and is spiteful towards other people, even if some people might deserve it. I think it's just that difference between like even if somebody did something wrong to you, you can set that boundary and be like, I don't really need to have you in my life anymore, but I'm not, even if I have really negative feelings towards you, I'm not gonna let that dictate who I am, how I treat other people and all that, because some people aren't really supposed to be forgiven. And so yeah, I think a lot of times we think that like, especially guys, strength is punching holes in walls. Strength is being angry and making yourself look really dumb in front of a bunch of people because you get in somebody's face and everything. But strength is just kindness, like putting in the work, controlling your emotions. It's okay to express frustration and express sadness, express every feeling you want, but you got to be kind to other people and you got to be kind to yourself. And I think that touches on some of that shame that I kind of talked about last time. I really like that perspective that my friend brought up about it just being you not respecting yourself, because that makes a lot of sense. And I guess there's two sides of being kind. So just kindness towards yourself, knowing what your boundaries are, letting other people know like how you're feeling, when to walk away from things that aren't meant for you. But then also kindness towards other people. Like I might be the main character of my story, but my story overlaps with somebody else's story. There's lots of little side stories, all interconnected. And if I start being a dick to somebody, that's really gonna affect them harshly, you know? They're gonna think about that for a long time. I think when I was little, for example, like I won't play basketball because of this. Like, I don't know, I was like 10, 11. I used to go to the Boys and Girls Club, and there's this one adult that volunteered there, and he was just like a douche to everybody for some reason. And like little Danny was walking around trying to play basketball, and I've never been very hand-eye coordinated, and I think I like completely missed the basket or something. And then he said something along the lines like, "You suck." And after that I was like, I'm never touching a basketball ever again. And you know what, like that's just how life goes. That person was kind of mean for no reason, but that doesn't really like define me, but it really affected me for a long time, especially as like a little kid. And there's lots of little like examples that you can give about just words affecting people. So I think everybody should kind of take a look at where they're at in life, see if they're holding on to any resentment, any hatred, and start finding ways to kind of cope with it in a healthier way than just kind of letting those outbursts get to other people, because that's just weak. You're not really putting in the work. You're letting your emotions kind of control you. And I think it's fine to have those emotions flow through you, but it's got to come out in healthier manners than just being mean to people. So kindness, recommitting to kindness, trying to do small acts of kindness in your community. I know some people that like they try to do one good thing a day for other people. Like, for example, somebody I know recently was at the store and the person in front of them, their card declined, and so he decided to just pay for like the bag of chips and random snack that this kid was trying to pay for. Holding the door open for people, saying like good morning, good afternoon to people, just being kind in general, being a good person. It'll go a long way. It'll make other people feel better. It'll help you feel better about yourself if you're respecting other people, being kind. So I think that's really all I have for now. It's honestly kind of getting cold and I gotta head down this mountain, but we'll see if we get a car video next video or a mountain video next video. But thank you guys for watching a lot. Just remember, kindness is strength, and just keep spreading that kindness, keep being compassionate, because that's what I want to strive to be. I don't want to let somebody else's spite take hold in my heart and just rot me out from the inside, you know? So I am kind, I am joyous and whimsical, I am silly, I am all those things, all those positive things, and I'll continue to be all those positive things, and I'll continue to put in the work. So thank you guys for watching again. I'll see you guys in the next video, and stay warm out there.